Hello everyone. I have a really big book haul. I've never done a book haul before. I don't know what I should be talking about in a book haul, but I've just had such good luck at the used bookstore as of late that I wanted to share what I've been able to find. I have read some of these books. I have not read some of these books yet. All of these books were purchased with store credit from trading in books over the course of the year. Ryan and I just, we'll drop some books off here and there, and then we'll go and look for new books here and there. We keep our little store credit on the fridge so that we can both use it, and this is the result. First and foremost, we have Salamander. This is a true crime about the Mormon forgery murders in the 1980s. This one I am currently reading. I have not gotten that far into the book yet. It's a pretty darn dense book. There's a lot of information here. This is probably going to take a little bit of time to get through, but I'm super excited to read this. I don't know, I was drawn to the story. I am not familiar with the story. It took place in the year I was born. So there we have it. But I'm excited to get through it. I don't know where to put all these books. Okay. Next is Thunderstruck. Now, I have read a book from him a long time ago called The Devil in the White City, and it's one of my favorite true crime stories. I just like the way he sets up his books. There's usually two stories going on. One, at least in The Devil in the White City, half of the story was about a serial killer and the other half was about the Chicago World's Fair. So you get history and lots of background information. This one I don't know anything about, but I've been wanting to read another book by Eric Larson for a long time, and I saw it there and I was like, well, might as well. Next we have Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens. This is another dense book that will take some time. I think Charles Dickens was one of those authors paid by the word, I believe. That's my understanding at least. But I've always wanted to read Oliver Twist. I thought this would be really nice for the holiday times. Christmas, get all cozy with a classic Dickens. I also just really loved the size of this book. It's just so holdable. There is actually many books that were published by the Novel Library, and I would love to find more of them because I just think that is the nicest book size. I love that you can hold it in one hand. And so that played a big part in buying this book. But again, I have always wanted to read Oliver Twist, so it's all good. Next, we have another nonfiction. This was in the true crime section, although it's not a very traditionally true crime. I feel like the actual crime that takes place, which is about a library, the LA library burning down in the 80s. But I feel like this book is much, much more. I've already read this one. I ate it up real quick. I loved it. I want to hug this book. I love her writing so much. She has a very strong voice and has a very, I don't know, there's something just so compelling about how she wrote, and you could really, her love for and her relationship with books really translated in the library book. And I feel like anybody that loves books should probably read this book. I have a newfound respect and appreciation for libraries that I never had before, and a new love for this author, Susan Orlean. Orlean? I don't know how to pronounce her name, but anyways, this is a beautiful book. Highly recommend. Then I found Captain Blood. This was just a fun book. I've already read this. I saw it on the shelf and the color drew my eye. It was the only pop of color amidst a sea of gray and brown books. And I saw this and I was like, huh, I wonder what that is. And I pulled it out. This was written, I believe, in the 1930s. There is a movie with Errol Flynn that I would like to see, and I have yet to see, but now that I've finished the book, I feel like I can watch the movie. I ended up really being quite fond of this book. The midsection felt a little bit, there was a lot of just kind of short stories, and the overall plot felt stagnant, but it all wrapped up really nicely, and I love Captain Blood. It was just a fun adventure pirate book. Then we have another Junji Ito book. This is a horror manga. I've read 2 of his others, Gaio and Uzumaki. I really liked Uzumaki. I was like meh about Gaio. This one, called Smashed, is a compilation of 13 different stories. And it was just fun. That's really all there was to it. There was nothing profound about it. It was just fun. And yeah, that's all I can say about it. So I did like this one of more than Gaio for sure. Next is another Sherlock Holmes book. Now that may not mean much to you. I'm a huge Sherlock Holmes fan. I have many books, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 of which are huge compilation books of Sherlock Holmes. I saw this one, the original illustrated, so the illustrations that came out with the magazine stories are in this, and I just absolutely loved that. And I thought, you know, I don't need another copy of Sherlock Holmes because I have so many already. But I love the fact that this one has the original illustrations, and that really appealed to me. When I got home, I actually looked through it to discover that I'm not familiar with any of these stories. What? I thought I had read every single Sherlock Holmes story, at least twice, maybe 3 times, some of them 4 times. I've read like The Hound of Baskerville so many times now. I just love Sherlock Holmes, and they're short little stories, and often in between books when I feel like reading but don't want to like get too involved and don't have a lot of time, maybe I'll just pick up a Sherlock Holmes and reread it for the umpteenth time. And lo and behold, there's stories that I have never heard of. I don't know how that happened, how I missed Round the Fire. What is this? Oh, this is like the series. The Story of the Japanned Box. Never heard of that one. It's just, what? Anyway, so I'm excited. I have new Sherlock Holmes to read. Oh my goodness. Next is The Widening Stain. Now this book, oh my gosh, it just started to pour. What? That's amazing. Oh, that's so good. All right, anyways, sorry for that momentary distraction. The Widening Stain, I've never had heard of this one before. This was, again, on the shelf. I saw the name, it drew me in. I was curious, I was like, that sounds like a mystery novel. I love mysteries. Let's pick this up. I started reading it in the store and I was like, I like the writing. I think I'm gonna like how this book goes. I finished it. I really liked it. It was super fun. This was written in the 1940s, so you get a lot of that, the language of the 40s, and it's just really fun because I feel like it's a good history lesson without being a history book. Also, the protagonist is a female who works in a librarian, which is also really cool. The setting is a library at a university, and so just getting that kind of atmospheric, bookish, academic environment is really fun for a murder mystery. Next we have Night at the Vulcan, and this is another one that I was drawn to. I have heard of this author before. This is another murder mystery. I think it takes place in a theater, the Vulcan Theater. I don't know anything about it. I haven't read it yet, but I think it's going to be right up my alley. I do not want to try to pronounce her name. Oh, I just got through that's it. We just got through all the books. I'm kind of surprised because that's a lot of books. So there we go. That is my book haul from Book Credit at the used bookstores. Thank you all for watching and happy reading.